All right, so are you ready for a wild one? Buckle up, because this deep dive is going to take us deep into the world of online romance
Oh,
scams.
yeah. Those are a growing problem, unfortunately.
And this time we've got a YouTube documentary that follows a woman named Marie from Germany. She takes on her scammer in a way few others would even think about doing.
That's pretty unusual. Most victims are too afraid or ashamed to come forward or take any kind of action.
It's true, but Marie's story is different. So the documentary starts back in 2018. Marie's going through a tough time, feeling a little lost and alone. And that's when she gets a message on Instagram.
Let me guess. It's from some charming guy who seems to have it all together.
You got it! He's calling himself a successful businessman, showering her with compliments, promising trips to Rome, the Bahamas, you name it. It's like he's reading from the scammer playbook.
It's classic grooming behavior, creating this fantasy world to suck her in.
And you know what? It worked. Hook, line, and sinker. And that's what's so scary about these scams. They start small and then bam! They hit you with requests for money.
Exactly. It's all about building trust, exploiting vulnerabilities, and they're really good at it, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the documentary shows just how sneaky it can be. They actually show screenshots of Marie's bank transfers.
Wow. So we can see how much money she actually lost.
It starts small, but then the amounts keep getting bigger and bigger. It's actually heartbreaking to see how much she loses.
It just goes to show how powerful the psychological manipulation can be. They prey on that fear of losing the relationship to squeeze more money out of their victims.
And poor Marie. She falls for it, but then here's the twist. She starts noticing things that don't add up.
Like what? What tipped her off?
Little inconsistencies in his stories. The photos seemed off, just a gut feeling that something wasn't right.
Smart of her to trust her instincts.
It was. And that's when she becomes an internet detective. She's determined to find out who this guy really is.
Like, what did she uncover?
Turns out her Italian businessman is nothing of the sort. He's actually part of a network of scammers operating out of Benin City, Nigeria.
Benin City. That's like the romance scam capital of the world. It's become notorious for this kind of activity.
Exactly. So what does Marie do? Does she just walk away, lick her wounds, and try to forget it ever happened?
Knowing what we know about her so far, probably not.
You're right. She decides to fight back. And get this. She books a flight to Nigeria to confront her scammer face to face.
Wow, that's gutsy, but also incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
I never advise someone to put themselves in that kind of situation.
Oh, for sure. It's risky business. But this is what makes her story so compelling. And of course, the filmmakers follow her every step of the way. We see her dealing with the Nigerian legal system, the cultural differences, the frustration of it all.
It's a good reminder that these cases are incredibly difficult to prosecute. There are jurisdictional issues, cultural barriers, and the fact that these scams often leave little to no physical evidence.
And just when you think it can't get any crazier, guess what happens?
Okay, you've got me on the edge of my seat. What now?
While Marie is waiting for her day in court, she gets a call. And it's him, her scammer, calling from the courthouse.
Are you serious? What's he saying?
He's like, hey, I'm here too, let's meet. Trying to reel her back in.
Classic manipulation tactic. Even when they're about to face the music, they try to regain control.
It's mind-blowing, right? But here's another thing that makes this documentary stand out. It doesn't just focus on Marie's perspective.
Oh, so we get to hear from the scammer side, too.
We get interviews with some of the guys involved in these scams. They call themselves Yahoo Boys. And get this, they even managed to get an interview with their boss.
Wow, the mastermind himself. That's incredible access. I can't wait to hear what he has to say.
It's pretty shocking stuff, but it's so important to understand how these networks operate. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
This is already so much more than a typical romance scam story.
Oh, yeah. We've got cultural clashes, international legal battles, and a glimpse into the dark underbelly of online deception, and we're just getting started. So last time we were talking about Marie stuck in Nigeria, caught in this web of legal delays and manipulative tactics from her scammer.
Yeah, it's almost unbelievable that even with a court case pending, he was still trying to contact her.
I know, right? But get this. Marie decides to take things a step further. Remember how Benin City was this hub for online scams?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like they're infamous for it.
Well, she decides to go there. Wants to see it for herself.
She actually went to Benin City. That takes guts.
Seriously. She wants to understand how these scams work, why they're so successful. So she teams up with this local guide named Solomon. He becomes her guide and translator.
I bet that was an eye-opening experience. Benin City is a whole other world.
You can say that again, but things get even wilder. Remember how Marie was threatened with a curse by her scammer?
Oh, yeah, the whole juju thing is
Yeah.
a whole other level of messed up.
Well, Marie decides to confront that too. She meets with a juju priest to learn more about these curses and how they play into the scams.
Wow. So we're talking about cultural immersion on top of everything else. This documentary just keeps getting more interesting.
It really does. And you can see how Marie is processing it all, trying to make sense of this clash between her own beliefs and this ancient tradition.
It really makes you think about the power of cultural context. How something that seems totally foreign to us can have a real and powerful impact on other people's lives.
And on their fears, which makes them more vulnerable to these scams. But you know what's really remarkable about Marie?
What's that?
Even in the face of all this, she still wants to understand the scammer side of things.
You mean like why they do it?
Exactly.
Isn't
She
it?
even asks the juju priest about her scammer, like, what's his life like? Why is he doing this to people? She's searching for answers, not just revenge.
That's pretty incredible. Most people would just want to see their scammer locked up and throw away the key.
True. But Marie's different. She sees the bigger picture, realizes that this isn't just about her and her scammer. There are deeper forces at play.
It's about more than just a broken heart. It's about cultural differences, economic disparities, and a whole system that allows these scams to thrive.
And speaking of systems, remember those Yahoo boys, the scammers themselves?
Yeah. What about them?
The filmmakers managed to track down their boss, the alleged mastermind behind this whole operation.
Whoa, seriously. They got an interview with him.
They did, and it's intense. He talks about how they recruit young men, often from poor backgrounds, train them to create fake profiles, and use these elaborate scripts to prey on people's emotions.
It's like a well-oiled machine. They've got the whole operation down to a science.
It's chilling. And it gets worse. He claims to have connections inside banks and even within law enforcement.
You're kidding. So there's corruption involved too. No wonder it's so hard to stop these scams.
Exactly. It's like fighting a hydra. You cut off one head and two more grow back. But just when you think it can't get any more complicated, guess what happens?
Oh no. What now?
Marie gets news from the court in Abuja.
About the case. What is it? Is it good news or bad news?
Well, let me tell you, it's a real shocker. So there Marie is in Benin City, right? Trying to wrap her head around everything she's learned about these scams and the culture that surrounds them. And out of the blue, she gets this news that the court hearing in Abuja is back on.
Seriously? After all that waiting around, they finally give her a court date.
Yep. And get this, it's happening like immediately.
Wow, talk about a whirlwind. 1 minute you're deep in the heart of scammer country. The next, you're supposed to be in court facing the guy who stole everything from you.
Tell me about it. It's enough to give anyone whiplash. But that's the reality of this situation, right? The legal system, the cultural differences, the constant uncertainty. It's a lot to handle.
And we're just watching it unfold from the comfort of our own homes. I can't even imagine what Marie must have been going through.
It's intense. And the documentary doesn't shy away from that. We see Marie's struggle, the emotional toll it's taking. But we also see her strength.
It's like she's finally found her voice after all this time.
Exactly. When she takes the stand to testify, it's like a weight has been lifted. She's not holding back anymore. She lays it all out there. The lies, the manipulation, the financial ruin.
It's a powerful moment. To see her reclaim her story and confront her scammer head on.
It really is. And while I don't want to spoil everything, the documentary ends on a note of hope.
So she gets justice. I mean, did she get her money back?
Well, not exactly.
Well,
It's not a Hollywood ending, but it's a realistic one. She doesn't get all the answers. She doesn't get all her money back, but she finds something much more valuable.
Okay, now you have to tell me, what's more valuable than getting back everything you lost?
Closure. She finds a sense of closure, and she finds her voice. She starts using her experience to help others who've been through similar situations, and she channels her pain into her art.
Wow. So in a way, she turns this terrible experience into something positive.
Exactly. It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope.
That's a powerful message. And it sounds like this documentary was quite a journey.
It was. We went from the depths of online deception to the heart of Nigeria. We explored cultural clashes, navigated legal battles, and ultimately witnessed the power of one woman's determination to fight back.
All in a day's work for a deep dive, real.
You got it. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, stay curious and stay vigilant.